Shalom, brothers and sisters. Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you from Yahuwah the Father and Yahusha our Mashiach, his voice. Hear, O Yasharal. Yahuwah our mighty one, he is one Yahuwah. This is Brother David coming to you again to bring you no marriage or giving in marriage in the kingdom. Is that true? Well, if you came from the church and you were taught all of the false doctrines, you know how they make these false doctrines? They give you maybe one line like this, no marriage or giving in marriage. And they make it into a doctrine. They pass it to you because you are not like the Berean and go and check it out for yourself. You'll fall for their lies. How far has the Father brought us today? Now we're checking on everything. We've learned how to study. We've accepted his word. He told us to study to show ourselves approved, a workman that need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Why do you have to rightly divide the word of truth? Because there's going to be lies placed in our book. He knew that from the beginning. Then he told us that we have to study like this. You have to go line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. Out of the mouth of 2 and 3 witnesses shall every word be established. The new is in the old contained, the old is in the new explained. When you understand all of these things, they can never fool you again. They want to take away your joy. This is a joyous occasion, marriage, and the two shall become one flesh. This is one of the promises, brothers and sisters. In the kingdom, everything shall be restored. Let's begin. Matthew chapter 22, verses 23 to 28. We're about to have a lesson in the law, brothers and sisters. Did you know the whole New Testament is about the law? Yeah. Yahusha, the apostles, even our brother Shaul, that they know as Paul, all told you not to sin. Do you know of any place where he told you to sin? The answer is no. The definition of sin, transgression of the law. So when they told you not to sin, do not transgress the law. This is how you defeat those who try to tell you that the law has been abolished. Verse 23. The same day came to him, who's the him, Yahusha, the Sadducees. When I was in Bible school, we used to break down this name. And we used to say things like, they are sad, you see, which say that there is no resurrection. And asked him, verse 24, saying, Master, Moses said. Anytime you see Moses had said, or Yahusha said, they were the voice of Yahuwah. They only repeated what the Father told them to say. Listen what the Father says. If a man die, having no children, his brother shall marry his wife and raise up seed unto his brother. Now, because we've been living in the lands of our captivity for so long, we don't understand this principle. We really don't have too much knowledge. When you're ushered into the kingdom, the Father shall give us property, lands, houses. And the property is to stay in the family line from generation to generation to generation. Where's the family line? It is in the male, in his loins, in his seed. Everything has been inverted here in the lands of our captivity. Like in Jewish life, you cannot be a Jew unless you're born of a Jewish mother. Isn't that something? Even if your father is, say he's from Europe, he's a heathen, and he marries a Jewish woman, her children are still Jews. The male lineage has been wiped out in these lands of wickedness. But it's the paternal line that is dominant, because the seed is in the male, and the life is transferred from the male into the womb of the woman who has an egg. She brings it to full growth, and when the child comes forth, if he is a male child, he inherits the land, because the land must stay in the paternal line from generation to generation to generation. Let's invert it like the Europeans have done. Let's say the woman is the inheritor of the land. When she decides to marry, she goes outside of the family lineage, and she marries another from another paternal line. Once she marries him, and she brings forth his seed is the inheritor of the land. Now the property rights have been moved from your family line to another bloodline. That is not the way the Father wanted it. We should have the land in our lineage from generation to generation to generation, and indeed for a surety, forever. Verse 25. Now there were unto us 7 brethren. Listen to this analogy. And the first, when he had married a wife, he died. And having no issue, no, having no children, left his wife unto his brother. Verse 26. Likewise the second also, and the third unto the 7th. So it's obvious. The first didn't have children, the second, the third, all the way up to the 7th. Nobody gave a seed to this woman. Verse 27. And last of all, the woman died also. Here's the question. Verse 28. Therefore, in the resurrection, whose wife shall she be of the 7? For they all had her. Okay, let's address this right now. We're going to deal with the men. As you see, brothers, marriage, it's not just going to give you vows. Even here in the lands of our captivity, if you were to go to the justice of the peace or before a priest and you get married, you still aren't married until you have consummated it. No consummation, you can go get an annulment easy, just like the marriage has never happened, because it hasn't. Marriage is, and the two shall become one flesh. Here's the question for you, brothers. How many wives have you had here in the land of your captivity? How many women have you slept with? They all became your wife. We have dealt wickedly in the lands of our captivity. Since we're on the subject, how many strange women have we had in our bed? Even if you didn't take her to the justice of the peace or to the priest, once you went into her, the two has become one flesh. You married her. Hey, brothers, did you know it's forbidden for you to take these strange wives into your bed? Do you know what that has done? We have become traitors to the daughters of Zion. And on behalf of all of the brothers on this channel, and behalf of myself, Brother David, we apologize to you for our wicked behavior towards you. And we all agree it won't happen again, because the righteous man will turn back to Yahuwah, keep his commandments, and won't go back to his old ways. What about you, sisters? Here's the question. How many husbands have you had? Do you remember the story of the woman at the well? Yahusha said, you have 5 husbands. You've had 5 husbands. And the one that you have now is not even your husband. What was he talking about? The first man that went into her was her husband. And every man that she had after that, she committed adultery. What wickedness. We have all dealt wickedly in the lands of our captivity. But praise be to Yahuwah that he has given us a way out. In the law that people want to dismiss. Repent. Turn from your wicked ways. Keep his commandments. Return to Yahuwah. Only call upon his name. Then you have an advocate, a priest, Yahusha HaMashiach, who is now in heavenly realms, making continual intercession on your behalf. But you first have to confess these transgressions of the law. And the Most High is faithful and just to forgive you of all of your transgressions of the law. In other words, sin. Now back to the question. Therefore, in the resurrection, whose wife shall she be of the 7? Verse 29, the reply. Yahusha answered and said unto them, you do err, because you don't know the scriptures. Do you know everyone standing around listening to Yahusha speak to the scribes, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the teachers of the law? They were trembling. They were saying, how can Yahusha disrespect these people? They didn't know the scriptures because they were not us. The ruling class, the Sanhedrin, these people were chosen by the others. The Romans chose them. Herod the Great, the Edomites, they chose them. They didn't know the scriptures. And Yahusha called them out on this. Listen what else he said to them. Nor the power of Yah. Why did he say that? Because in verse 23, you find that we were told they didn't believe in the resurrection. They did not believe that Yahuwah, the master of the universe, the creator of all things, had the power to make these dry bones live. Truly, They are sad, you see. Verse 30. Here's your answer. For in the resurrection, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of Yah in heaven. How many of you caught it? If you need to be resurrected, aren't you dead? That is correct. Matthew chapter 24 says, the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall rise first. All right, now we've dealt with the dead. Then, those who are alive and remain shall be ushered into the wilderness. Well, you'll be gathered from the four corners of the earth, ushered into the wilderness. Their judgment shall take place. He's going to remove the rebels from the righteous. And the righteous shall be ushered into the kingdom, and there we shall perform marriages again. Everything will be restored. What about these people who were resurrected? They're going to receive their new bodies, their glorified bodies, and they're going to be not as the angels, but like the Elohim, like Yahusha in heaven. Are you with me? So there's two separate events in one. The dead shall rise, their bodies shall be glorified. Then us who are alive and remain shall be gathered from the four corners of the earth. We shall be ushered into the kingdom. He shall cleanse our blood. There we shall have the right to the tree of life. I hope I made this simple. Sometimes these things are pretty complicated, especially when you've heard other doctrines before. But now, when you hear the truth, it will surely bust you right upside the head. On another note, this evening, we will be looking for the renewed moon. You're going to be looking towards the west. Wherever you've seen it last month, it's going to be moving a little bit more towards the left. I believe it's called southwest. Because the sun has gone through different portals. The seasons have changed, so it's going through different portals. So look for it a little bit to the left. Just make sure you observe where the sun goes down, and there you shall see the renewed moon when the light becomes dim. Peace be unto you. Love you guys. Shalom.